Do you need a good cry? I've got a book for you. Hey guys, it's Alyssa. I'm back with another reading vlog. I have been having some really weird technical difficulties lately, so please bear with me. My really fancy, wonderful webcam seems to not be behaving and likes to flicker. So I have some videos that have been filmed that I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to get out to you. But luckily, my millions of years old iPhone is is coming to the rescue for this intro and outro for this reading vlog. I recently read Betty. If you've been following along on Instagram, you know that this absolutely destroyed me. My face was salty at the end. If we all remember the whole A Little Life saga vlog, this vlog is me talking about gas prices, drinking Red Bulls, and crying my fucking eyes out. We are getting close to those vibes with how much it made me emotional. I had too many feelings. I cried. I was heartwarmed, heartbroken, all the things. I was angry. I still want to murder one of the characters. This was a journey. I did vlog the whole experience because I kind of knew this was going to be epic. I finished this last night. I think I've collected myself enough to talk about this. So we're going to jump into the vlog and then I will see you guys at the end to just kind of give you some actually hopefully coherent wrap up thoughts from this little torturous journey we went on. But I guess as usual, per usual, when I do these single book reading vlogs, there will most likely be spoilers ahead. So warning for that. If you don't want to be spoiled, if you have never read this, you can skip ahead to when I look like this again and just see my final thoughts. Though honestly, I probably will have spoiled things for that too. So just click off, watch this after. If you are triggered. There's probably going to be quite a few triggering things discussed in this video. So if that's not something you are looking forward to, please click off. Again, I'm not here to hurt your mental health. So yeah, there's a lot of like violence, like physical and sexual. There's a lot of like self-harmy kinds of stuff. So it's a rough book, but I'm gonna stop. We're gonna roll into the wonderful vlog footage, which is essentially just me slowly becoming a puddle of tears, or rapidly, I think, becoming a puddle of tears. I tried to keep a cry count. I lost it. Part 5 of this book, I lost count. I lost count. But yeah, here's the vlog. Okay, so I said that I think I would start a reading vlog for Betty because this book is supposed to be just an emotional roller coaster. And I will say, we are 120 pages in. I've already cried. I've already cried. This book, this book is beautiful in the writing. This book is emotional. I don't even care if this camera shakes because you're on a tripod on my bed, and I'm having emotions. I'm having emotions, and I'm sharing them with you. We're just jumping right in. There's no intro to this. I'm reading Betty, and it's fantastic. You are following Betty. She is one of the younger children of this family. You have Alka, who is the mom, and she essentially just like seduces the dad, and then is forced to sort of marry him. And he is a Cherokee, and he is wonderful. He is the most wonderful man. And I don't trust anything about this book. I don't trust anything good to happen to this man. This man is wonderful. He's a wonderful father. He's a wonderful, wonderful husband to his wife who is struggling with depression and multiple, multiple attempts to unalive herself. They have many children. They both come from Ohio. They leave Ohio when she first gets pregnant and they get married. Then they travel around, they have all these kids, and they come back to Ohio. Now they're back in Ohio. And we have racism. We have homophobia. We have colorism. We have, I'm going to guess there is going to be some Cassandra Clare like things happening with one of these siblings. I just don't trust Leland. I don't trust Leland. I don't trust Leland. I don't trust him. Oh, there's gonna be spoilers to this. I don't care. I'm spoiling it all. I'm having an emotional breakdown. Been having an emotional breakdown all day, and just over other things. So I thought, you know what's perfect to match my mood? Betty. We're just gonna match my mood and do this. I'm taking a break. I just went downstairs and got some chips. We're gonna see how I feel because at 122 pages, it's emotional. It's emotional. It's just emotional. There's stuff with the family. There's stuff with the side character. I'm not gonna spoil everything. I'm not that crazy. Oh, setting. Why is this so important? The setting's important. So we are in like 1960s Ohio with a visibly darker child that is half Cherokee. And the father is not ashamed to be Cherokee, despite the fact that I'm sure everyone would like him to be. And he raises his daughter Betty to be proud of her heritage, as she should be. And this town is just everything you would expect it to be. They are just so unwelcoming and terrible. I'm all over the place. It's been that kind of day. I literally have had a mental breakdown today. Nothing to do with Betty. Had a mental breakdown. We are coming out of that. So I'm a little everywhere. When they move back to Ohio, they move into this house that a sort of a friend of the father's buys it off auction, and they get this house, and they get the house because, and it's like this was like a big old sort of, you know, like mini mansion from like the 30s, but the reason why they got it is because the family one day, the family that owned it, mysteriously disappeared. And there were like all these bullet holes in the house, and the family was never seen again. And the whole town thinks the place is cursed, and nobody wants to live there. So, of course, they get to live there because where else are you going to put the people that you hate because they look different than you? So, anyway, they move in, and the day they move in, Betty is like 6 years old, 6 or 7 years old, and she's on the edge of the property, and there's another little girl in the neighboring house who's about the same age, and she's playing with a red ball, and she's a cute little white girl with little blonde curls, and immediately the first thing they're like, let's be friends. No issues, nothing. Then the parents see that she's trying to be friends with the dark-skinned girl, and how that's not appropriate, and don't talk to her, and all that other stuff. And by the time they get to being in school together, a little bit down the road there, you know, like a month or two after they move in, suddenly this girl who on first thought was like, this person's great. Let's be my friend. I have a new neighbor. We can play together all the time. Her parents have indoctrinated her with hate, and now she is torturing her neighbor. She is torturing Betty. And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it because it's so true and prevalent. Hate isn't in you, hate is taught to you. You raise these little monsters that hate people who aren't like them. Sorry, this book has me all over the place. I'm all over the place. I'm going to eat my chips, and I'm going to try to calm down. My friend read this, one of my best friends read this, and he told me that he almost cried a few times. So I've just been like texting him updates as I go along so he can relive the experience with me. So yes, break time. on cry count 2 of Betty. I don't even know how to say. I don't even know how to give you guys updates on this. It's just like one horrible thing after another. I think in the last update, the mother had tried to unalive herself. You get more backstory on what happened to the mother, and just how horrible her parents are, and how like just awful her dad is, and how complicit the mother is in it, and just the amount of violation on women's bodies, and it is terrible. Like, this book is so beautiful as well, and it's so hard to stop reading it. And I have to work tomorrow. It's 11:15. I have to go to bed, but I feel like Betty is like the holder of everybody's trauma and everybody's secrets. And like the way she interacts with Lind, who is somewhere on the spectrum, or maybe he's got something like psychologically not right with him. I'm not quite sure, but he's got this little stutter, and he's not there. He's not with everybody else, but he's sweet and kind, and the way that Betty takes care of him and interacts with him is just so beautiful. This book just seesaws between like really beautiful, beautiful moments and just misery. So I've been updating my friend as we've been going along, because I told him I would keep him updated. The one sister Flossie's really annoying me. He says he wants me to follow up on a couple hundred pages, so I will. And I said this book is reinforcing my dislike of people because, man, like the more God-fearing the person in this book, the more terrible they are. Not a shocker. He says, "Oh man, you are in for a ride." He says, "I want to hug you and remind you it's gonna be okay." That's how intense this book gets. And I need a hug. So I guess that's our update. The sisters I really love. The brothers, well, one brother's terrible. One brother is so vulnerable and different and sweet, and the other brother seems very nice too. He's like this little artist. But the, this dad, the amount, oh God, let me find it. And the writing is just so, 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 so beautiful. And I can't get over how beautiful the writing is. I really just can't. This is like the dad talking about the mom who you could paint as this really terrible mother, but really she's just been so victimized by her life, right? He says, "Your mom found me," he said. "I was a lost man, but somehow she still found me. I had neither a purpose nor a name before your mama. When I was growing up, folks called me Tomahawk Tom or Tippy Jack or Pow Wow Paul. Every name but my own. No one ever even asked me my name until your mama did. Not only did she ask, but she tagged a sir on at the end of it. What's your name, sir? I had never been called a sir before." He exhaled a long stream of smoke. "I started out life as nobody," he said, "but because of your mama made me a father, I have a real chance to end my time on this earth as somebody worth remembering. Why the hell would I run away from that?" I know nothing good's gonna happen to this dad, and I know this is gonna break my heart, but this man is just built with love. Like when he takes Betty, Betty's all upset because she has to be like basically on like a free lunch program for school, and the kids are making fun of her, and he takes her out in the rain to this weeping willow and tells her this beautiful story to show her how what matters isn't money. What matters is the people in your life. I love this dad so much. This book is going to kill me. So I'm gonna update my friend. I'm gonna update my cry count on Instagram and get ready for bed. I'm on part 3, Light of the World, 1964 to 66. I don't know if I'm ready for this, but we will jump back into this probably tomorrow. Hopefully this is a good reading vlog for you. I think you guys always like when like books are really like impactful and moving and people have strong like I have strong emotions to things, whether it be crying or just anger or whatever. Look at me, like I have like mascara running down my face. I have to get ready for bed. This is a freaking book. Meanwhile, Mercy's just here sleeping while I'm crying. What's part 3 gonna bring? Okay. I just made it to part 4 in Betty. Like, my heart can't take all of this. It is. First of all, this mom is like so hard because she does some of the most terrible freaking things ever. Ever. Like, absolutely ever. And I get why she does them. She has her traumas. She has the things she's going through. But then on the flip side, she also has these like moments where she is like a weirdly and amazingly good mother and actually shows her children how much she loves them. But like it'll come like on the heels of her just doing something batshit crazy. And the tragedy after freaking tragedy that happens to this family, like I can't take it. I hate Leland. I need Leland to die. I don't know how to kill a character in a book. How do I go into a book and kill a character? Because this, why aren't things happening to the good ones and not the bad ones? Why is the bad one getting away with everything? So far, Betty's dad is still okay. Hopefully he just grows old and dies. But like, I don't have faith. I just don't have faith that something terrible is not going to happen to him. I just don't know. Is she gonna do something to Lint? If she does something to Lint, I'm gonna be so mad. Please don't do something to Lint. Please, please. I love him. I love him so much. I swear this is like nothing quite reaches a little life, but this is just it's trying to get to that level of just breaking my heart. It really freaking is. And I had a coffee late, so I don't know if I'm just gonna stay up and just cry tonight. I might. I don't know. But I'm gonna make some popcorn. Take a second. Because the ending of part 3 just killed me. Like I was breathless, ugly crying, texting my friend that I can't believe that that's what happened. And he says, that's where I cried. And I said, great, because that's my 4th cry. And we're not even counting all the times I just teared up. Didn't just cry. Like I cried. Crying. I've never wanted to murder somebody in a book more. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I think the boyfriend from A Little Life. How could you do that to Jude? I mean, we're not going there. Anyway, popcorn. We're gonna make some popcorn. Popcorn will make this better. Okay, maybe it won't make it better, but popcorn. I think this will be my last update until I'm finished, unless something crazy happens, because that just keeps. I mean, I don't know. This book just keeps delivering. It just keeps delivering on the pain and the tears and the misery and the heartbreaking. My heart is breaking, like breaking. Also, these people in this town, is everybody just like not, are there screws loose in all of these people? Because every so often there's these like news clippings because someone's going around shooting in this town, and so there's news clippings from the local newspaper, and it's always some nutty person from the town saying some nutty thing, and you're like, is everyone okay? And then there's the lady that wears the masks because she's thinks she's horribly disfigured, and like, who is this weirdo? What is this town they live in? And why does this town look down on this family? Like, they're the strange people. You people are weird. Weird. Popcorn. Weird ass people. Oh. I knew it was coming, but it's so bad. I'm gonna finish this. Ugly cry. I don't even know what we're at now. I don't know if this is 8, 7, 12. So many cries. Nearly done. I'm gonna. finish and collect myself. Oh my god. I'm done. That was, oh, this was perfection. I will do an actual wrap up and not whatever this hot mess is, but this book is a new all-time favorite. This book, I lost count of how many times I cried in part 5. It's just so good. It is just so good. I will collect myself and give you an update later. So Betty. Good old Betty. Obviously this is a 5-star read. You cannot go on an emotional roller coaster like this and not have had a 5-star experience. Was it a 5-star miserable, I'm gonna cry my eyes out experience? Yes. Were there brilliantly heartwarming moments throughout between Betty and Lint and Betty and Leland and even occasionally Betty and her mother? Yes. But I think the most common thing throughout this book was just trauma. I tried to color code. I ran out of things, so like a couple things are doubled up, but like my blues and my grays are all like the really traumatic things that are occurring, or like all of the racial slurs and sexist things and all the really negative things. I tried to flag as best I could without going overboard because there's so much of it. And then all the other flags are just really beautiful moments, and it's a pretty, whether it's how it's written or an actual beautiful moment. So there's a pretty decent, looking at my tabs, balance between just tragedy and beautiful scenes or passages in the story. So I guess there's a plus. It's not just all straight misery. This did not get as bad, in my opinion, as A Little Life, but it's the first book I've read that sort of got close to as traumatizing as A Little Life was for me. I mean, I ugly cried, as you saw. I ugly cried many times that you didn't see in this vlog, and this book. I'm sorry. Did I call the dad Leland? No. Leland is the terrible older brother that I still want to run into this book and murder. So Betty is our narrator, and Betty and her dad Landon, not Leland, Landon, have this really beautiful relationship. And through this really beautiful relationship, you can just see how wonderful Landon is. Landon himself doesn't think very much of himself. He thinks he's a very simple person. He's insignificant. There's a beautiful passage where he discusses how he becomes a man of significance through his wife and children. They made him have significance, and I argue that he was significant without that. Spoiler, almost everybody in this book ends up dying in some way, including Landon. And thankfully didn't go quite as I was fearing, but it was traumatizing because you grow to love this man so much. The wonderful emotional moments between him and his children, specifically with Betty because she's our narrator, where you just watch him be the world's most amazing father. The life lessons he teaches her, the lessons about their heritage as Cherokee, the way he loves and supports his whole family regardless of their flaws is just, it's beautiful. And honestly, like, I'm almost jealous that I didn't have that kind of experience. Not that, I don't have daddy issues, but like, God, this guy's great. I kind of wish he was my dad. The impact, by the end of the book, you see the impact that this very simple man that a lot of people judged for being darker skinned and Native American and all of these things that made him be discriminated against. You see the impact that he had in people's lives and the amount of people that he touched, and hopefully the amount of people that got beyond their own prejudice. But mixed in with all of that story of Landon and his family and his struggles and his successes and his beautiful outlook on the world and nature and humanity, there's just so much trauma in this book. There are 6 siblings. Like I said, a lot of people die in this book. And I dare I say this family feels like it's cursed. The middle sister Flossie is always talking about this curse that's on the family because they accidentally, sort of on purpose, burned down a church, and how like that family's always gonna be cursed from that, and the curse is gonna catch up with each of them in some way. And you feel like Flossie's kind of half right in that because of the just the tragedy that like every member of the family goes through in some way, shape, or form. A lot of it would be resolved with the access to things like good mental health and healthcare and therapy, which is the theme that continues through to this day. How many people are lacking in that and would have better lives as a result? There are a lot of generational traumas that are getting passed down from one generation to the next. That's what generational trauma means, Alyssa. It's sad and frustrating to watch these incredibly good-hearted people be destroyed by that. And well, not all of them are good-hearted, fucking Leland, but watch these people just get unable to escape the their life circumstances in a lot of ways. It's also frustrating to watch someone like the mother. You know, she has a ton of trauma. I'm not going to undersell the trauma that she has from her father, but how that trauma has kept her from seeing all of the good and the joy and the wonderfulness in her beautiful children, in her actually beautiful family and relationship with her husband until, you know, I feel like it's very late in the book when she starts to realize all that she has and how her life may have been very tragic and sad and ugly, but she built out of that ugliness a really beautiful life. And Lint is like the unlikely hero of this entire story. I love this kid so much. Like, this kid is Landon reincarnate, and he's just one of those quietly wise characters in a book that just warm your heart so much. Like, I don't think I'll there's some books you read you really enjoy, they could even be 5-star reads, but like in a year or two you ultimately forget them. I don't think I will ever forget these characters. These characters are so stellar, and Betty is Betty has these moments, or I literally have notes that are just like, go, Betty. Betty's confrontation with her elder brother is phenomenal. I just wish it went further. Her determination to be herself is inspiring. I mean, it's now reflecting back on this after I'm done crying. There is a lot of beauty in this book. There's a lot of quiet, wonderful moments in this book that could get lost in all of the trauma, but I think the trauma makes for the beauty, if that makes any sense. I feel like I could ramble on about this book for like eons because it's just so good, and I am trying desperately to get Naomi to find a copy of this so we can do a full book review on together where we really break down this book and discuss it on TBR Lowdown, our podcast. If you have a book club and you've never read this and you don't mind really traumatizing books, if that's something your book club can handle, read this. I think this would be a fantastic book to break down with a group because there's a lot of things that are going on here outside of just the immediate family and their immediate traumas. There's a lot of discussion about being a woman. I mean, one day Betty gets very annoyed and she just decides she's going to wear shorts to school because every time she wears skirts, the kids are just constantly picking on her because she's so dark, and they sling racial slurs at her. They like lift her skirt up, they violate her person left, right, and center. So she's like, I'm gonna wear shorts. I don't know why I can't wear shorts. And it's like 1960s America in Ohio, and she ends up in this meeting with her principal that is just frustrating. The amount of I think I forget how long it took for women to be allowed to wear pants without judgment. Like, this is a relatively recent development. like, I feel like you were allowed to wear pants maybe a little longer, but like in certain circumstances, if you weren't in a skirt, you were seen as a hussy, and that is crazy to me. Like, I'm gonna try to find it because it was really frustrating, this. All right. So she goes to the principal's office, and she's in lots of trouble. And he says, "You violated school policy. You know that, don't you?" Gesturing to my shorts. "I don't understand why there's a policy," I said. "We must keep separation between the sexes." "Separation?" I asked. "Clothing should show there's a difference between a girl and a boy. Don't you agree, Betty? Why can't I wear what I want? Do you know what happens when girls wear what they want, like shorts or pants?" he asked. Wait for this one. I shook my head. "Everyone stares at your crotch," he said briefly, looking at mine. My crotch? I looked down towards it too. That's right. Pants define your area. When a woman wears pants, no one sees her. They just see her crotch. Women who wear pants desire attention. These are pants. They seek it. Did you know that in places in this world where females wear pants, there is more crime? Women who wear pants don't care about the family or the home. They don't care about instilling good morals and setting good examples. Because they wear pants, I asked. But men wear pants. Women cannot behave the same as men because women and men are not the same. What if I were to put on a skirt like right now and go frolicking around this office like your mother? My mother doesn't frolic. I love that answer. I love Betty. My dear, anytime a woman walks, she frolics. Asshole. She can't help it. It's the way her legs are shaped. Is it the pants or is it you, buddy? He stood and started walking on his toes as he swung his hands up by his chest. "Oh, look at me," he tried to speak in a woman's voice. "Look at me." "That's not how women walk," I told him. "Yes, it is." He pulled the blanket off the back of the upholstered chair in the corner. He turned the blanket into a skirt, wrapping it around his hips. He circled the room. He continued to walk on his toes, sharply sashaying his hips to either side. "Do you still have respect for me, Betty?" "Of course not," he answered before I could. "I would be less of a man in a skirt." I realized then that pants and skirts, like gender itself, were not seen as equal in our society. To wear pants was to be dressed for power, but to wear a skirt was to be dressed to wash the dishes. And it goes on for that. "Have you been wearing clothing that causes your fellow students to think lustful thoughts?" the principal asks. "I'm just wearing clothes, same as anybody," I say, gritting my teeth, "because the clothes a girl wears can be laden. Do you understand? The way that you dress says something about you. I know these boys in my school. I'm a friend of their families. They are good sons. They're trying to keep God in their heart. You want them to be good boys, don't you?" Why is that Betty's job? If they've got all this God in their heart, why isn't God taking care of it? Whether they're good or not is up to them. Yes, it is, Betty. You are very right. No, it's not. It's up to you. Fucker. You have a great responsibility as a female, Betty, especially now that you're coming up on having hips and breasts. This is the principal. "How can us men keep God in our hearts if you pretty little things don't help us by dressing modestly? Do you know what modesty means, Betty?" It keeps going. It keeps going from it. But there are so many moments like this where Tiffany McDaniel touches on women and their place in the home and in society and how that differs from where women were positioned when there was a Cherokee society, and the value and respect for women that is just lost in like the white man's world and this God-fearing world. And isn't it interesting that the more God-fearing some group of people are, the less rights every woman has? Weird. There's a lot of discussion of race. There's a lot of racial slurs being thrown around. There's a lot of discussion of just like hate crimes in general. There's touches of what it would have been like to be queer and the criminalization of queerness. There is so much in this book outside of just the family drama of it all, the social commentary, the snapshot of 1960s in Ohio, in this like Bible thumping weird town. It's weird to me. It's wonderful. There's so much to unpack in here, and hopefully I can do that with Naomi one day and we can have a nice lengthy discussion about this. But I've been yapping at you for 15 minutes here at this little outro. I highly encourage you to read this. This was phenomenal. If you can't stomach it, I've read it for you. It's amazing. I, I loved it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving this a like and subscribing. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I ever wanna go, come closer now.